Smile off. The kid is smiling. Laughing, even. A spoiled college student in designer clothes shrugs at the ticket like it's a joke. The courtroom murmurs. The officer stiffens. And Judge Caprio watches quietly, hands folded, eyes steady. The kid thinks money will erase everything. He thinks this is just another fine his parents will pay. But then the judge asks one simple question, one that drains the color from his face. The smile fades. The room goes silent. And suddenly, this isn't funny anymore. What happens when arrogance meets real justice? The room buzzes before the doors even fully close. Whispers ripple across the benches. Someone snickers nervously. A few phones are tucked away too late. Energy hangs sharp in the air, the kind that signals something is about to go wrong. He steps forward in designer sneakers and an open-collar shirt, hands loose at his sides, chin tilted like the floor belongs to him. The charge is read. The fine is stated. A quiet laugh slips from his mouth. Not loud. Not careful either. It lands anyway. A few heads turn. The officer's jaw tightens. The laugh turns into a smirk, and the smirk into confidence. He rocks slightly on his heels, eyes drifting around the room as if this is entertainment, as if everyone here is part of a joke only he understands. The judge doesn't move. Not yet. The officer speaks, calm but edged with steel, explaining the stop, the speed, the reckless weaving through traffic. Words stack like bricks. The kid exhales an exaggerated breath, shaking his head in disbelief, lips curling again as if the story is beneath him. Another chuckle. Murmurs rise in the gallery. Offended whispers. Disbelieving stares. Someone in the back mutters, "Is he serious?" The tension thickens. The boy's posture stays loose, careless, untouchable in his own mind. He taps a finger against his hip, waiting for it all to be over. The judge finally lifts his eyes. Not sharply. Slowly. Silence spreads with the movement, like a shadow passing over the room. The kid keeps smiling for one extra second, not realizing the temperature has changed. The officer feels it. The gallery feels it. Even the court clerk stills. The judge leans forward just enough to be felt. His voice doesn't rise. It doesn't need to. He asks one simple question about the laugh. About what exactly was so funny. The smirk falters. For the first time, the kid hesitates. He shrugs, too casual, too fast, trying to laugh again, but the sound doesn't come out the same. The room doesn't laugh back. The room waits. Would you take this seriously? The question doesn't feel theatrical. It feels surgical. The kind that peels pride away layer by layer. The kid shifts his weight. His eyes flick to the benches. To the officer. Back to the judge. The judge remains calm, steady, unmoved. He lets the silence do the work. Each second stretches. The laughter that once felt powerful now looks small. The confidence starts to crack at the edges. And the courtroom, once noisy, now holds its breath, waiting for the joke to die. The shift is subtle but irreversible, and every person in the room senses balance of power breaking. The questions begin softly, almost conversational. Where do you go to school? Who pays your bills? The kid answers with an easy grin, naming the university like it's a badge, mentioning his father's company like it's armor. A ripple of murmurs slides through the benches. The officer's eyes flick once toward the gallery, then back forward, jaw set. Every answer comes too fast. Too proud. I work part-time sometimes. Mostly I focus on school. My parents handle the rest. The judge nods slowly, as if collecting pieces of a puzzle no one else can see yet. His face doesn't change. His voice doesn't harden. That's what makes it unsettling. The kid chuckles again, softer this time, mistaking calm for approval. He straightens his shoulders, leaning into his own story of comfort and safety. You've never had to worry about rent, have you? No, sir. Never had to choose between tuition and groceries? No, sir. A few heads in the gallery drop. The imbalance is suddenly visible to everyone. Youth wrapped in money standing opposite a system built on consequences. The officer clears his throat, audible. Frustration hangs off him. The judge remembers only the man in front of him. The kid keeps smiling. Keeps talking. Keeps offering privilege like it's proof of responsibility. My parents raised me right. I've never been in trouble before. This is just a misunderstanding. The air grows heavier with each word. The judge leans forward a fraction. The smiling slows. For the first time, the kid's confidence searches the face in front of him and finds nothing to mirror it. Do you think the law notices your address? Silence drops hard. The question isn't loud. It doesn't need to be. The kid shifts his feet. His jaw tightens. The gallery leans in as one body. The judge waits, patient, letting the truth reveal itself on the kid's face before it ever leaves his mouth. No, sir. The judge nods. That's right. It doesn't. A gasp slips from somewhere behind the benches. The kid swallows. The smirk is gone now, replaced by something thinner, more fragile. For the first time, the courtroom doesn't feel like a stage. It feels like a mirror. Do you think privilege should change the law? The question floats outward, past the defense table, past the officer, past the benches. It reaches every viewer watching this unfold. The kid doesn't answer. The judge doesn't push. He already has what he needs. And slowly, the weight of consequence begins to settle in. The officer steps forward without swagger, only purpose. His voice is clipped, steady, every syllable trimmed of emotion. Speed recorded at 92. Lane changes without signals. Red light entered on a late yellow turning to hard red. Gasps ripple, quick and sharp, then collapse into silence. The kid's knee bounces now. His shoulders no longer float. The smirk from earlier dies in increments, frame by frame, as the words stack. The judge gives a slow nod, once, inviting the next fact without interruption. The officer continues. A crosswalk crowded. A mother pulling a stroller back by instinct. Tires screaming just long enough to be heard, but not long enough to stop what was already rolling. A murmur of disbelief swells and is instantly swallowed by quiet. The kid stares at the table. His thumb worries the edge like it can wear the moment down. The officer doesn't look at him. He looks straight ahead, as if the road still runs through this room. Dashcam activates on the screen. Headlights surge. A white line flashes under the bumper. The signal flips. The car surges anyway. A collective inhale drags through the gallery and freezes there. The judge doesn't react outwardly. No frown. No raised brow. Only the smallest shift of posture, the kind that says the evidence has landed exactly where it needed to. The officer's voice tightens just a shade. If that stroller had moved one more foot. If the other car hadn't braked first. If timing had slipped by a half second. Each if lands heavier than the last. The kid swallows. His jaw flexes. The room watches the transformation in real time as fear slips through the cracks of privilege. The earlier laughter echoes now, ugly in hindsight, a sound that no longer belongs to him. A man in the back whispers, almost involuntary, "My God." Someone else shushes him too late. The weight has already settled. The officer finishes with a single sentence, calm enough to cut. Public safety was at risk. His eyes drop. The words hang alone at the center of the room. The judge waits. He always waits. Long enough for truth to breathe on its own. The kid finally lifts his gaze, but the confidence is gone. What stares back is something smaller. Something human. And the courtroom, once entertained, now understands what was almost taken from it. The screen goes dark. The dashcam click echoes like a closing door. The kid's breath comes shallow now, measured for the first time. The judge's gaze never wavers. Somewhere in the quiet, consequence gathers its shape. And everyone in the room senses it at once, the moment when fear turns into the beginning of reckoning. And the next question is already forming behind the bench. The judge leans forward just slightly, eyes steady, voice calm but carrying weight that fills the room without rising. Has anyone ever depended on you? The words hang. The kid blinks, shifts, fingers brushing the table nervously. A silence spreads, thick, audible. The gallery leans in without realizing, breaths held. Even the officer pauses, pen hovering over his notes. The room waits. The smirk that once radiated confidence is gone. His jaw tightens, eyes darting, looking for an escape that isn't there. A whisper somewhere in the back, almost involuntary, "Oh." The judge doesn't move. Doesn't hurry. One more question follows, deliberate, slicing through the quiet. If someone's life depended on you, and you failed, what would that cost them? What would it cost you? The kid swallows, throat dry. He opens his mouth, closes it. Words fumble, stumble, none fitting. I guess I've never. The courtroom is still. Each heartbeat amplified. The earlier laughter, the arrogance, the sense of invincibility, it all begins to collapse in the space of a single question. Faces in the gallery soften, some shaking slightly at the raw exposure of privilege stripped bare. The officer watches, tension leaving his shoulders as if he's been holding it for the kid. The judge leans back, voice still calm, measured. Responsibility is not about money, or connections, or comfort. It's about people who trust you, who rely on you. The words settle like gravity. The kid blinks. The first crack appears across his expression. The posture slumps a fraction. The hands that were once casual now twist in nervous energy. Arrogance is gone. Humility creeps in, unsure, awkward, painfully human. The room exhales collectively, a quiet wave of recognition. Everyone sees it, the moment when confidence meets consequence, when wealth cannot shield innocence from accountability. The judge lets it breathe. No lecturing. No shouting. Just presence, observation, the weight of truth. The kid's voice finally returns, soft, shaky. I don't know if I've really thought about that before. A single nod from the judge. The gallery murmurs quietly. The officer straightens but watches carefully. The balance has shifted. The kid's world, momentarily untouchable, has met a question that money cannot answer. What would you answer in that moment? Even in silence, the courtroom has changed. Pride has faltered. Responsibility has arrived. And the next chapter of reckoning waits quietly, ready to unfold. The judge leans slightly forward, eyes steady, voice calm but deliberate, each word chosen like a key turning a lock. Tell me about home. About your family. About expectations. The kid straightens, a defensive flicker in his posture. Designer jacket creases as he shifts. It's normal. My parents work a lot. His smile is tight, forced, trying to cover the cracks forming in his armor. The courtroom tilts subtly, leaning in. Whispers rise and die. The officer folds his hands on the table, listening, tension easing slightly, curiosity flickering across his features. Always busy? The judge asks softly. Always pushing. Never saying no. The words land heavier than the kid expects. A pause. He swallows. Yeah, I guess. They want me to succeed. Always. His voice drops at the last word. The confidence he wore like armor wavers becomes transparent. The gallery notices, some leaning forward, faces softening, not pity, not mockery, but understanding. The judge nods once, slowly, letting the truth settle. So, the life of comfort, it shaped you. It gave you privilege. It also gave you protection from consequences. And yet, here we are. The kid's hands fidget. He shifts weight from one foot to the other, eyes tracing the edges of the officer's uniform, seeking some sense of normalcy, some bridge back to control. But there is none. The courtroom watches a transformation in motion. Even the officer's jaw relaxes fractionally, a hint of recognition passing across his face. The judge's calm presence frames the room, the words carving space for reflection. The smirk is gone. The armor cracks. You learned early that the world bends to you. That comfort shields you. But accountability, that does not bend. The judge's tone is quiet, steady, but each syllable strikes sharper than a shout. The kid exhales. His shoulders slump a fraction. The first real human glimpse slips through, vulnerability peeking out from behind designer clothes and rehearsed confidence. The audience sees it, a boy, not invincible, shaped by privilege, beginning to understand responsibility. The gallery murmurs softly. Gasps punctuate the pauses. No one laughs. No one judges superficially. They witness a truth unfolding. Unchecked privilege can warp character, wrought accountability, and teach hard lessons in ways money cannot. The judge leans back, voice steady, presence unwavering. The fine is more than a number. Today, it will be a lesson. One that, I hope, changes how you carry yourself in the world. The kid nods, quietly, absorbing the weight. The courtroom exhales as one. The shift is complete. Pride gives way to reflection. And somewhere beneath that calm exterior, a first step toward understanding responsibility has begun. Does pressure excuse bad choices? Look around you. You might see the answer before the gavel falls. The judge sits upright, slow and deliberate, voice calm but carrying weight that commands the room without raising it. These are the consequences you face. He lists them plainly, each fact measured, each word sinking deep, points on your license. Increased insurance. Future risk. Missed opportunities. Each detail lands like a stone in the gallery's collective chest. The courtroom is silent, every breath caught, every eye fixed on the unfolding moment. The kid shifts. Fingers drum nervously against the desk. He exhales, uneven, a sound that used to be arrogance now sounding like worry. The laughter from earlier, carefree, defiant, has vanished, leaving only the hollow echo of reality. The officer watches with quiet intensity, pen hovering over the notebook. The judge doesn't scold, doesn't raise his voice. The facts themselves are enough. Calm authority meets consequence. The camera cuts to the kid's face. Eyebrows knit. Lips pressed together. Breathing shallow. A flicker of fear crosses his features. The armor he wore so confidently is gone. Privilege does not shield him here. Money does not erase the record that will follow him. Gasps ripple quietly through the gallery. Heads nod slowly, the weight of understanding settling in. For the first time, the power dynamic flips. The untouchable college kid is now equal under the law, subject to rules larger than his world of wealth and status. The judge's eyes sweep the courtroom. Calm. Measured. Present. Every person senses the same lesson. The law does not bend for pride, privilege, or laughter. It is impartial. It is unyielding. And it is exacting. The kid swallows. Shoulders slump fractionally. Hands twist in his lap. Each point of the law, each consequence, presses against him, shaping understanding in real time. The record is more than paper. It is a shadow that will follow him, a reminder of accountability that no status can erase. The judge pauses, letting the silence stretch. The air is thick. Every heartbeat echoes. The gallery leans in as one, absorbing the weight of impartial justice. The officer straightens, finally allowing a subtle nod, recognizing the shift that has taken place. No one laughs. No one moves too quickly. The courtroom feels suspended, caught in the precise moment when power has been restored, when arrogance has been humbled, when truth stands clear. The kid looks down, finally meeting no one's gaze but his own reflection in the reality laid bare. The lesson is clear. The law does not care who you are. And in that silence, every viewer watching senses it too. Accountability has arrived, steady and unavoidable, and the next step, redemption or continued recklessness, hangs just beyond the bench. The courtroom is taut, every eye fixed on the boy who moments ago seemed untouchable. The fine should land like a hammer, but the judge leans forward, hands folded, eyes steady, voice calm. Silence stretches like a held breath. "This court has considered everything," he begins. The kid shifts, expecting the lecture, the punishment, the cold certainty of consequence. Instead, the words that follow carry a weight he doesn't anticipate. "You may pay the fine," the judge continues, "or you may earn your way through it." The room holds as if gravity itself paused. A chance. A path. Not bought with wealth, but earned with humility. Community service. Responsibility. Reflection. The kid blinks. Confusion spreads across his features. Lips part. Shoulders slump, then stiffen. Emotion floods his face. Shock, disbelief, even relief tangled with shame. The courtroom exhales, some murmuring quietly, the subtle rhythm of approval settling into the benches. The officer's eyes soften. He nods once, quietly, as if recognizing the lesson embedded in mercy. The gallery senses it too. Justice has balanced itself, measured but not cruel, firm but fair. You will complete your hours, the judge adds, calm but unyielding, and reflect on the choices that brought you here. This is your last free lesson from this court. Each word lands like stone in the quiet room. The kid's jaw tightens, eyes fixed on the bench. Arrogance has been replaced by comprehension, the realization of consequence without the shield of money. A pause stretches. Then another. The subtle power shift is complete. The courtroom watches a boy begin to understand accountability in a way no fine could teach. The judge lets the moment breathe. The camera lingers on the kid's conflicted face. Fingers fidget. Breaths come uneven. Humility is arriving, slow but unstoppable. The audience feels it, the punishment that teaches more than pain ever could. The judge rises, voice measured, deliberate. Court is adjourned. Quiet approval echoes from the benches. Even the officer allows a small, approving smile. Justice, heavy but fair, has found its mark. The boy stands, a mixture of relief and understanding weighing on him. Every movement carries the weight of a lesson earned, not bought. For the first time, he feels the gravity of choices, the power of humility, and the price of privilege without responsibility. If you believe no one is above the law, hit subscribe and watch how accountability reshapes lives before the gavel falls again. The boy's hands fidget on the edge of the table, fingers tracing invisible lines. He takes a slow breath, eyes down, voice lower, measured, steadying itself against the weight of the room. I'm sorry, he begins. The words tremble slightly, honest for the first time. Not just for the ticket, for my behavior, for laughing, for thinking I was above it all. No sarcasm, no bravado, no hint of the smirk that once lit the courtroom like a flare. Silence drapes the room, heavy but expectant. The gallery exhales softly, a collective sigh of recognition. Heads nod. Eyes soften. The officer leans forward, a subtle shift, a quiet acknowledgement that this moment is real. The boy's voice gains a fraction of confidence, not the kind that commands, but the kind that admits fault and seeks understanding. The judge's gaze lingers, calm, measured. Growth often begins in embarrassment, he says. His words are light, almost gentle, yet each one lands like a marker on the boy's conscience. It's uncomfortable. It's humbling. And it's necessary. The kid swallows, posture loosening. Shoulders drop. The swagger that once seemed unshakable has vanished, replaced with something fragile, but undeniably real. Awareness blooms in the place of arrogance. The courtroom feels it, a transformation subtle, yet profound. Whispers ripple quietly, murmurs of empathy and understanding threading through the benches. Even the officer allows a small nod, a silent gesture that no lecture, no gavel, could have matched. The lesson has been absorbed in a way that numbers, fines, and warnings never could. The boy stands, every movement careful, deliberate. The smile is gone. There is no performance now, no attempt to charm or intimidate. Only presence. Only the weight of reflection. He steps away from the stand, leaving behind the mask he arrived with, leaving behind the illusion of invulnerability. The gallery releases the tension slowly, in quiet nods, in shallow exhalations. The air feels lighter, tempered by the honesty that has finally been spoken aloud. Justice, once a distant, abstract force, has become personal, understood, internalized, and quietly transformative. Have you ever learned the hard way? Felt the humbling weight of your actions settle in, and realized change begins not with force, but with acknowledgement? The courtroom has seen it today. Awareness has replaced arrogance, and the first step toward real growth has begun. The courtroom exhales as the kid gathers himself, shoulders squared but lighter somehow. The judge leans back, calm, unhurried, letting the silence speak louder than any words. His gaze sweeps over the room, steady, commanding, not a shout, not a threat, just presence. Every eye feels the weight of responsibility, of the lesson just delivered. Responsibility, he begins, voice measured, deliberate, is not something money can buy. Safety is not negotiable. Every choice has an invisible cost, and sometimes the price is not in dollars, but in awareness. The kid's hands release the edge of the table. His head bows slightly, no bravado, no smirk, just understanding. The audience senses the shift, the subtle transformation of a boy who entered thinking wealth and privilege could shield him. Every gasped whisper, every nod, acknowledges the gravity of a lesson learned without humiliation, without spectacle. The officer straightens, nodding quietly, a rare smile hinting at approval. Even he knows this moment transcends paperwork, tickets, and fines. It's the kind of accountability that seeps into a person, lingering beyond the courtroom walls. The camera lingers on the boy as he steps toward the exit. His steps are measured, deliberate, heavier than when he entered, but not burdened by shame. There is no victory music, no applause. Just quiet realization. Every glance backward reflects a moment seared into memory. Arrogance stripped, humility replacing it, and awareness taking root. The judge remains seated, calm, poised, eyes lifting to the next case on the docket. Another life touched. Another lesson delivered, not with yelling, but with clarity, patience, and moral authority. The courtroom feels the echo of one spoiled laugh erased by wisdom, replaced by the understanding that consequences are sometimes invisible until fully realized. The audience leans in, reflective, some murmuring softly. Did the judge go too easy, or exactly right? That question hangs in the air, part of the story now, as viewers recognize the power of measured justice, the kind that teaches more than punishment ever could. The kid disappears from frame, leaving behind a courtroom quieter than it has been all day, each person carrying the weight of a story that lingers longer than any fine. Accountability, responsibility, and the cost of reckless choices, lessons money can never buy, have taken hold. And as the gavel rests, still untouched, the room waits. The next case, the next lesson, the next life to be quietly reshaped by wisdom, begins without fanfare. The law, impartial and steady, continues.